So it's getting to be that time of year, and everyone is starting to have questions about where ADA is going to end 2024 at. A bullish year overall, and one that is basically leading us to even more exciting times. And AI is, in fact, projected a few prices to close out the end of the year. I want to talk once again about my projections for ADA price at the end of this year. And I think we need to have a discussion about this comment that was made by a viewer about something we may have, in fact, been missing. And this is very important because we are doing something extremely similar to what we did last cycle. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell again. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So just for a little bit of context, ADA right now is kind of chopping around, not doing a whole lot, kind of a boring weekend, blah, not much going on, right? And ADA is basically floating between this $5 to $6 range, and it's looking pretty comfortable. The market's a little bit red on the day, nothing too crazy. It's a low volume again. And what's interesting about this is ChatGPT has laid out a few projections to close out 2024. Now, for those that aren't familiar with ChatGPT 4.0, it tends to lay out a bullish scenario, a neutral scenario, and a bearish scenario. Now, the bearish scenario actually says that we may see a downturn, and ADA may in fact drop below $1. Now, the neutral scenario actually has us above where we're at currently, floating around in a tight range between $1.10 to $1.15. And the bullish scenario actually has us retesting some of those local highs that we just hit a week or two ago. So between $1.25 to $1.40 by the end of the year. So these are very exciting things. And looking at the ADA charts here, really any one of these is in play, right? We have seen prices below $1 here recently. We have seen prices above $1.25 recently. So these are all kind of within the realm of reality. These are all kind of floating around near the Bollinger Bands, right? And what's interesting about this is there was a viewer that actually brought up this idea that we may be actually playing into the Wyckoff distribution model. So for those that aren't familiar what that is, it is a actually bearish formation in the charts. And this isn't to spread fear or FUD or anything like that. And I want to show you guys actually something very similar to what we did last cycle. So looking at the 4-hour chart in terms of ADA, you guys can see that we're starting to actually kind of form this distribution model. In fact, it looks like our most recent pump that we had to about $1.33 might in fact be the UT level here. And right now we're currently sitting somewhere down here. All right. Now, this is good and bad news if this is the case. The good news is that this would mean a further extension to the upside, another push towards ADA breaking above, $1.35, $1.40 would actually play right into the ChatGPT projections, would play right into this model perfectly before falling back down and correcting, right? Now, again, this isn't a guarantee. This isn't to spread fear or anything like that. And what I want to show you guys is something oddly similar to what we did last market cycle. So for example, here we have our basically bullish band and our bearish band. All right. These are projections based on last market cycle. We talked about these probably about, when was that? That was, I think, like back here somewhere, October, maybe just before the start of November. And you guys can see that we've kind of cemented ourselves right in between these two bands. One of these has ADA actually closing out the year somewhere up around $1.80 to $2. The other one has us closing these ranges down at about like down at like 65 cents. And we know that right now this is probably out of the range of reality. There's a lot of support in between here. Now, what's interesting about this though, is when we actually look at this bottom band, if we actually slide this puppy up, you guys can see we actually have a very, very similar model playing out here currently. Almost a exact drop and correction, fighting this exact resistance here. In fact, this plays perfectly into that Wyckoff distribution model. And what I mean here is if you guys take a look, this shows that we may in fact have an extension testing these highs sometime in the near term and then a correction back down. But that may be the moment that we actually get our slingshot to close out the year near the top of this band. All right. Now, this isn't a guarantee or financial advice or anything like that. This is just looking at some past trends. And what's kind of interesting is that we're waiting for something in the market, right? It's a question of what it's going to be. What is the spark that really sends things in motion? Obviously, we had the flash crash, and those actually try to stimulate buying, believe it or not, right? They try to shake people out of their positions, large entities step in, buy those up, and then sometimes that is the trigger that sends things to the upside. Sometimes It is short leverage liquidations. We know BTC right now is floating above 100K, looking pretty good. It's potential, or there is potential that if we get enough push from BTC as we get into the week, especially from institutional money buying, that may in fact send us on some liquidations. It may surge some excitement back into the market, and you may in fact see, ADA and other alts start their next runs. Maybe it's the FOMC meeting that is happening this coming week. I believe it's the 17th and 18th. Maybe we get an interest rate decrease, and that instills confidence back in the market. The biggest thing we're waiting for right now is the push of outside retail. All right. So there's the capital in the space has kind of gotten itself where it wants to be. We're sitting at almost cycle lows in terms of USDT dominance. There is still capital parked, but it's kind of waiting for that flow of retail outside the space. And that is what happens from cycle to cycle to cycle. That is what pushes us to new all-time highs. That is what causes these big breakouts like we've been talking about time and time again. And I've seen people, complaining, these influencers, right? These influencers talk about these breakouts and then they don't come. And what people need to understand is, we've been waiting for these fundamentals and the charts and formations and things like that to do the right things. And they've done the right things. But it doesn't always mean you're going to get exactly what you need or exactly what you want. The charts right now, the fundamentals, they've all been prepped for basically this big level of adoption hit the market. It just hasn't hit yet. All right. That's where this kind of disconnect lies. So the biggest thing we have to do is just be patient. I want to hear your guys' projection on where we're going to close out the year. My projection, I've been more towards obviously the bullish side of things. You guys know this. I very much see ADA doing almost exactly what it did last market cycle. We've talked about this many times before. And what that means is that we may have similar trajectory running into the early part of next year where ADA, again, as retail is flowing into the space, new retail, that ADA is probably going to be one of the better performers. So remember, in January, we have our big pro crypto embrace. We have the new administration coming in, Gary Gensler stepping down. I think sometimes people get caught up in the short-term choppiness and they forget what got us to this point in the first place. None of that has gone away. And that hasn't even really impacted the market yet in a big way. Really think about that. We have seen prices increase on the speculation of that. What do we think is going to happen when that is in fact a reality instead? So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Again, if you guys are new or haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. Have a great night. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.